Welcome back to a new video. As you all know, the World Cup is coming next year. I think now is a perfect time that after all the qualifying group stages almost ending, it's a perfect time to talk about three teams, what teams surprised everyone at next World Cup. The first team is Ecuador. I think South America, I think we'll probably see a very bad World Cup for both Brazil and Argentina. I think both those teams don't have the quality to compete against the top European teams. But Ecuador is a team that I think will surprise everyone, right? They finished second in the group stage for the qualifying. They finished above Colombia, Uruguay, even Brazil. Only Argentina was the only team that managed to finish above Ecuador. And Ecuador is a team that did beat Argentina in the last game of the qualifying group stage. So to see this team, Ecuador team, being able to go against Brazil, Colombia, Uruguay, Argentina is a very good sign as to what things may come for the next World Cup. And I don't have very good faith in what South American teams can do next World Cup. I don't think Brazil and Argentina, as I said, are able to compete next year. I don't think Colombia and Uruguay have the quality needed to go up there, especially Uruguay. I don't think they have the quality needed to be able to make some noise at the World Cup. I think Ecuador is a team that, with all the big players right now, like they have William Pacho, a guy who's now PSG being one of the best center backs in world football, right? He's been amazing this year and the past year. They have Pene Capilla, when they moved to Arsenal this summer, who I think right now is injured. But it's a guy that still has a lot of football quality, was amazing at Leverkusen, was amazing before even that. And also Caicedo, right? A guy who I think right now probably the best number 6 in Premier League football, obviously apart from Rodri, who's now injured. But all the debate over Declan Rice, Caicedo and Gravenberch over who's better. I think Caicedo right now as a debate on log. For this team to have these three amazing players in their team, like defensively, because I think the best asset you may have in the team is defensively. Right? I think defense is the first thing you have to get yourselves into. And to have three guys, Pacho, Capia, and Caicedo, who are both three guys amazing defensively, is a very good sign. And something that's definitely going to translate into next World Cup. Also, Caicedo is a guy that's going to help them a lot offensively. Obviously, I still think they are a bit behind offensively, compared to other teams by South America. But I think like Salpata is a guy that in Europe kind of feels like one of the kids, but now in Brazil for Flamengo is a guy who's been trained up there. Valencia is a guy that's been a certified marksman for years now for Ecuador and played well this World Cup. I think continue to play well this World Cup. I like Kennedy Paes as well, a youngster from Chelsea who's now won at Strasbourg, as that has been his case for a long time. It's a guy that's not been playing that well at Strasbourg, but I think the guy that, if his development does go correctly over next year, I think we'll see a great Kennedy Paes also next World Cup. So obviously I don't think they are lacking that much offensively for that to be a massive problem coming next year. I also think that obviously Ecuador already participated in the last World Cup. And lots of players that already mentioned in this squad were in that World Cup. So I think they also have the experience needed to know what it takes to win games at the big stage. Obviously, the group stage was not a great of quality. I think it was the Netherlands, Qatar, Ecuador, and maybe Senegal. So obviously not a great group stage, and I don't think Ecuador even got through that group stage. But also just being that World Cup, knowing what the environment is, I think also going to help them a lot next World Cup. Because the team after Ecuador I'm going to talk about haven't been in the last World Cup, right? So I think a lot of the mix of all the player quality there right now with, again, I said, Pacho, Caicedo, and Capia, with all them been playing the qualifying stage, being able to beat Argentina, able to finish above Colombia, Uruguay, Brazil. So I think like all these four teams have been the quartet of South American football for a very long time now. Chile now has been in an amazing decline. I don't think they're not even going to World Cup. So Ecuador kind of taking that role of that Chile was in the quintuple of the best team in South American football. And right now, I actually put Ecuador above Colombia, Uruguay in terms of them being better teams. Second team is Turkey. I know it's been a very long time that we're talking about Turkey and them being underdogs or dark horses for the tournaments, right? I think last two Euros talk about Turkey being potential dark horses and being their tournament and they're making their noise and they've still managed to not do anything in particularly special. So I know it's very skeptic also because they also weren't the last World Cup, right? So they managed to do nothing in the last Euros and they felt qualified for the World Cup. So I think with all that, to not come to World Cup and still being high on them and still think of them as potential underdogs still feels very wrong for myself still. But I think they are obviously Turkey is now going through a very big wave of youth talents. And in that big wave, there are two players in that team who I think are amazing, right? And I think will possibly carry Turkey to, again, being the underdog. It is Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz. Arda Güler is a guy that has been amazing for Real Madrid. Obviously, last year was kind of an up and down year for them at Real Madrid. Obviously, his first year at Madrid was going to be a bit tough. But now Xabi Alonso's there. I think Xabi loves him as a player, and I think he's been playing very well, either in front three or in midfield. I think Arda Güler has been a guy that has been amazing for Real Madrid this year. And it's already great for Turkey in the last years. I remember in the last Euros him being very good for themselves. And I think he's been taking that form into qualifying games and also the next couple of games. So I think Arda Güler is a guy that's always going to be their start for at least a little bit while. But Kenan Yildiz is a guy that's been coming to now as kind of breakthrough the stage right now the last year at Juventus. He's a guy that's, I wouldn't mind saying is a world-class winger, right? I wouldn't mind saying is the best Juve player. I wouldn't mind saying that he's the best Serie A player right now. A lot of teams are after him right now, as obviously they're gonna be because he's an amazing player. And I think right now is Turkey's best player. I don't think there's a debate over who's better, Güler or Kenan Yildiz. I think Kenan Yildiz is still the better player over Güler, and Yildiz now been getting to play very well for Turkey. So to have both these guys, Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz, is very good for Turkey. That's a Can Özcan, I'm pretty sure that's his name, but there have been some complications about him with, and also with Turkey. If he does go to the World Cup next year, I think there's another guy just amazing as well, being balling out at Frankfurt this year in Bundesliga. So another guy to really complement both Güler and Kenan Yildiz. Again, the team around them are not that good, but not that bad. Obviously, if they didn't have a good team around them, they want to be here, right? But I think like a lot of players, maybe a lot of people were up on them like a couple of years ago, like Demiral, Soyuncu, some players that a lot of people liked. I don't think they are of that quality nowadays. But I still think that the team they have right now, being able to play with Arda Güler and Yildiz, I think both players are players who are capable of carrying Turkey to a round 16 game which they haven't gone to in a lot of years now. Maybe even a quarter-final spot if everything goes perfectly aligned. I don't know, but I think the Turkey team now Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz, and betting on this new young wave of football that are like already established players in the biggest section of football, not only like just really potential players like Güler and Yildiz are the reality, right? Our players who are now balling out at their respective teams. So I think Turkey, if they bet on these two guys, and if Yildiz also goes to play for Turkey next year, I think we'll see a Turkey that's going to be way much better than what we've seen the last 2 Euros. The third team is Senegal. What I love about the Senegal team is they have a great mix of youth and experience, right? In the youth, I think they have a lot of players right now that are at the peak of their careers, right? Talk about Pathé Sarr from Tottenham. Is a guy that I think right now is being an amazing form for Tottenham. Guys like Van Sarr now, I think he's been in amazing form for Crystal Palace, been balling out for themselves as well. It's a big piece of what Crystal Palace has been doing this season, also last season, which I think has been amazing. What Guas has done for Crystal Palace, and Sarr is a big part of what they're building. Also guys like Iliman Ndiaye at Everton, a guy, again, I'm very high on Ndiaye at Everton. I think he's an amazing player. It's a guy that has helped Everton get to where they are right now, which has been a very big season to start the year with. I think he's been one of the key players, and I think if he comes to the World Cup and possibly even be Senegal's main start coming to next World Cup. And also Ali Diouf, left back from West Ham, also I'm very high on him. I think just watching him play for West Ham, I think is one of the few positives on that team. I think now Espírito Santo can get the best out of him as well. I can truly say that I think Ali Diouf is one of the most underrated left backs in football because he is that good, right? Watching him play for West Ham, I think, again, as I said, he's one of the few players I like watching West Ham. Especially on the game Potter mentioned, I don't really rate that much. I think has put this West Ham team playing very much below what the level is. And they have like Jarrod Bowen and Paquetá. I think Ali Diouf ranks the same tier as those guys of importance for West Ham. And again, I still think they are amazing. And again, in the type of experience, they have like Sadio Mane, a guy who's played for Liverpool, who's played for Bayern, who know how it is to play at these World Cups, at these big competitions. So I know that leadership in the dressing room can be very important. Also, Koulibaly is a guy that's played a long time at Napoli, went to play also at Chelsea Premier League football, as now against Saudi Arabia, same as Sadio Mane. Also a guy that again knows how to play the World Cup, knows how to play in the biggest games in their careers. So this experience, sometimes this experience going to be very important for Senegal to come to next World Cup. And again, I love teams who have this great mix of youth and experience. Like even Premier League, promoted like the teams who are doing the best, like Sunderland and Leeds, are teams who have a great mix of quality and youth players, right? I think that's what it needs. I think that's what you need to have in order to have a successful team, both on club level and both on a national level. So I think Senegal has all the keys that's needed. Also about a team that still has Gerard Mendy in goal, a goalkeeper that we talked about being one of the best in the world for a very long time at Chelsea. Also have Jackson as well, Nicholas Jackson, a guy who I know a lot of people are doubtful about and don't really like him as a player, but I myself are a big fan of Nicholas Jackson. At least I was a big fan of Jackson as Chelsea. I always thought it was a bit weird to see Chelsea go after strikers when Nicholas Jackson wasn't having a bad year at all. Also, the finishing issues were also still something that's, especially at the World Cup, can hurt Senegal and were hurting Chelsea. But I think overall the player is amazing, and I think Senegal is going to contribute a lot from having him as a striker. I think these three teams are amazing. I think possibly Ecuador of all these three, the team that I really want to see the most play. But I think every single one of these three are great teams. I think Ecuador and Senegal are teams who are like better as whole teams, like are more all-round teams, are teams in terms of considering overall their player quality is better. But Turkey is a team that just have individual players who are able to change games, who are able to win games for themselves, and have them both in their team. Also something that I cannot not look at, right? And I truly think that all these three teams can make some noise next World Cup, and I can truly see them surprise a lot of people next year.